Good afternoon and welcome to today's class, everybody. Of course, my name is still remains Victor Ukok, and today we are going to talk about pagination. What's pagination and how to work with it in real life. Let's apply pagination, right? When you're writing a list of things and the list gets like very plenty, right? So you're writing in the first page, then you move to the next page, you write it and all those stuff, right? And it makes managing maybe a list of things easy for you. Imagine that your notebook was just one long piece of paper, right? And you just keep copying line by line till, and maybe each time you want to add a new note, you just join paper and be like making it longer like that, right? It will be difficult for you to go through your notes, right? But since it's page by page, it makes it simpler. Let's take, for example, you have like 100 tasks, right, that you've created. You don't want to just send back the 100 tasks. You notice what happens on some of these social media platforms or big company sites. As you scroll, when you get to the bottom, you see next, previous. You then see some numbers there. You know that, okay, maybe you're in the first page, you will see maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers there, right? And if you click on maybe 2, it will take you to page 2. If you come back to page 1, if you click on 1, it will take you back to page 1. If you click next, it will take you to the next page like that, right? If you, then some of us don't even notice it because there's what is called infinite scrolling now, that as you're scrolling to the bottom, as you're getting close to the bottom, right, the data just loads automatically. The next page just loads automatically plus the page you are, and then you just keep you just keep scrolling like that, right? That is a front end thing. It's called infinite scrolling, right? But now those data that come in are actually paginated. That is why maybe, I don't know, let me take an example of an app, right? Let's take Facebook, for example. When you're scrolling through posts, as soon as you reach the bottom, right, as you're approaching the bottom of the maybe close to the last post that was loaded, another set of new posts just loads up automatically, right? That's pagination for you. But then that's the front end part. So how does the back end actually make pagination possible, right? So there are two ways of actually managing pagination or implementing pagination. The first way is to do it by yourself, right? The second way is to use a library, right? And the library we are going to use for it is Mongoose Paginate, right? Mongoose Paginate V2. So there are two types of Mongoose Paginate: the ordinary Mongoose Paginate and the Mongoose Paginate V2. And of course, the V2 tells you that it's better than it has some more features than the first one that came out, which is the normal Mongoose Paginate. Wow. Let's see how we can actually paginate using Mongoose Paginate, right? So at the end of this class, you should know how to install and use the Mongoose Paginate library, and you should also know how to work with query parameters, right? Now, let me talk a bit about query parameters, right? If you try to search something on Google, right, you'll see on your URL, after maybe typing what you want to search, let's say you're searching for NodeJs, for example, just type NodeJs on Google and click search. If you look on the URL, you'll see something like google.com, then maybe /search or something like that. But after those things, you will now see a question mark. Then you now see Q is equals to Then the Q will now be equals to what you're searching, right? The values after that question mark, right, is your search parameter. And that search parameter comes as in key value pair. Okay. So that search parameter too is what you can use on your pagination to make it like dynamic also. So let's see how pagination works, right? Let's see how we can paginate our data. Let me go over to VS Code so that we can actually start coding. Okay, so we are here finally. Let me clear that out and let me make the fonts bigger. All right. So we are finally here. Let me start the server up, npm start. And everything still works perfectly well, no issues. It would connect to database. That's what I'm just waiting for. Yep. So there's no issue. But now let's come over to these tasks. Where is it? The task schema, right? We have all our tasks here, fine, okay. And then if we try to query the task, right? Where can I get all my tasks, all tasks, right? Let me come and query that particular route. We see we have some few set of tasks, right? That we've created, task one, task one, task one, task with image. We have some amount of tasks we've created, right? And these are all the tasks, but this is really plenty, right? So how do we paginate this how do we paginate this so that, let's say, the first time we query it, it should return like 4, let's take for example 4 tasks, right? And then the next time we query it, it will return the next 4 tasks, like that, like that, like that, till we get to the end of these tasks. How do we query it? Or how do we paginate, right? You would say npm install, it's called Mongoose Paginate. Mongoose Paginate v2. That is the library you use to paginate, right? So once you install it, you see, it's installed successfully. Let me close this sidebar, right? Installed successfully. Then how do we start using it? Remember, it's our task we want to use it on, right? Now, after installing it, the next thing you have to do is you need to configure it on your schema or your model, right? Now, for you to configure it or for you to add it to your schema, this is how you do it. First, you would import it here. So you say const, let me just say paginate. Or I like calling it Mongoose Paginate. So I'll just say, Mongoose Paginate should be equals to require. And then you would now say Mongoose Paginate v2. Okay. So we've imported it here, right? And then we need to tell Mongoose that we want to use this as a plugin, this Mongoose Paginate as a plugin. So this is what we are going to do here. We'll then say the task schema, which is task schema, which is the schema that we created, which is this schema here, right? We'll say task schema dot plugin, right? And then inside the plugin, we are going to then write that we want to use Mongoose Paginate as a plugin. So I'll just say Mongoose Paginate there. Well, that's all, but we are not done yet, right? So now we've told, what we've done so far is we've told Mongo, right? That, or we've told Mongoose that for anytime I want to paginate, right? I want to use this plugin, which is Mongoose Paginate, which is a package too. Don't think that the plugin makes it special. It's still a normal package, right? The Mongoose Paginate is still a normal package, right? Now, the next thing you need to do is we should trace that particular okay, it's /admin/all tasks, right? So we should trace where we have this controller so that we can enforce pagination there, because just doing what you've done now is not going to paginate the data. In fact, if I start the server again and try to send, like, get those data, it will still come out like full. It is not going to be paginated, right? If I send the request again, it's still going to show all the data at the same time. Okay. So let me crash the server again and let's see how we can paginate it. So now the next thing you're going to do is you're now going to come to, where is the admin, right? Let me check where we put the admin. Tasks, I think it should be somewhere here. Okay, /admin/all tasks, right? Now, at this point where you have all tasks, what you're going to do is you're going to change this tax collection dot find to tax collection dot paginate. You can query or filter your data by adding the condition you want to filter by. For example, you can say you want to paginate where the user ID is your ID. So it will only be picking data that are meant for you, and then it can paginate those data, right? But then I don't want any query, right? So I can leave this as an empty object. Then what I can do here is the next value I'll put in here is the options. So these options here specifies what are the, maybe the pages, right? Or the limit or the offset I want to give this particular tax collection, right? Which is the table for task, right? Or the collection for tax. So I could say in here, I can say, okay, only give me page 1, right? But each page should contain maybe 10 items or 10 objects, right? So let's see how to do it. I could say I want to return the page should be page 1, right? And the limit should be, for each page should be maybe 4. So what I'm saying here is the page that I want to start with is page 1. I'm just hard coding it now, right? For now. And then I'm npm start, right? And we should query that same route, right? Connected successfully. Let's query that same route. Now, let me close this out. Let's see what actually happens. From querying that route, we see that docs is returned now. Something different is returned. Docs is going to contain the list of documents you want. Remember, we said that it should only return page 1 to us and it should contain 4 documents, right? So see it here. The first document, the second document, the third document, and the fourth document. Then see, it is here you can use to, all this other information that are coming back to are things you can actually use to know what to do, right? So you see that the limit is 4. The total number of pages you have is 6. So which means you can show you can use this total number of pages to show the numbers on your front end, right? can say page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6 as links. So if the person clicks on page 6, it should take the person to the last page. This page here shows the current page you are, or the current page the user or the person trying to use your API is at, right? So the person is at page 1. The person requested for page 1. Paging counter 1 has previous. This has previous is like saying, is there any previous page before this particular page the person is on, which is false. Has next is true. So which means if you don't want to use this, right? If you want to have maybe two arrows, right? Maybe one for previous, or two buttons, one for previous, one for next page, right? You can use this to know how those buttons will be activated, or the buttons should be deactivated, right? You can use this. So you can say if the has previous page is false from the database, then you should maybe hide the previous page button, right? Has next page button is true, so which means you can show the next page button, right? But if this is false, you can hide the next page, right? That's what you can do. You can use this next page to show the user the next page that he should be going to. Where is it? We should come here to task schema. Okay, not task schema. We should come here to tasks, and then at the bottom, let's change this to 2, right? For now, let me just hard code it, and then let's make that request. So let me restart because it wasn't connecting to database, right? So connected successfully to my database. Nice. Now let me I remember that I just changed this task to the second page, right? So let me come here and make that request. You see, it sends a response, right? It sends a response. Then if we come back here, you see, we are in page 2. The next page is page 3. The previous page is page 1. You see, has previous page is true, has next page is true, right? And everything. So you see that the pagination is actually working, right? Now, how do we make it possible for the user to set his own limit and the page that he wants to go to, right? There are 2 ways of doing it. You can use parameters, optional parameters, and you can use query strings, right? But let's use let's use query strings now. Okay. So let's go here. Let's come here. Do something like this. You can say the page should be equals to request req dot query, right? Query is a property. You can say dot query dot page, right? Which will be what the user is going to send as his query. Then you can do this. You can say or1, which is going to be a default if the query is not actually found, right? Then here you can say the limit should be req dot query dot limit, or let's say 4. Let's use 4. Right now, doing this is going to make it possible for the user to specify which page he actually wants to go on and which limit he wants to see, or what is the limit he wants to set, right? So let's come back here and let's see how we can add those query strings, right? We are going to all tasks, right? We can then say question mark, then we'll say let me make that request, right? Let's scroll down to the bottom and see which page we are on. Yeah, we are on page 5, right? If I change this from page 5 to page 4 and make the request again, you see, now it's showing me for page 4, and this is the data for page, or the data for page for page 4, right? could change this to page 2, and it's going to send me the data for page 2. Okay. And notice these 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? I could change the limit if I want. I could say, and limit should be equals to 6. I want it to be 6. And I want to go to page 1, right? Page 1, and then the limit should be 6. Let's see. We are in page 1. What do we have as the limit here? 6. So this data here is has the length of 6. The docs has the length of 6. If I wanted to send me 8, maybe at each page, there should be 8 objects, right? For the docs. I could change that limit to 8, right? And make my request. You see? If we come down here, we see that the page limit is 8. I could change the page to page 2 and send that request, and it is going to send me a valid response, right? You see? And page 2, and our limit is 8. So who has a question? Okay, right? So Timothy Alabi is asking, what's the difference between query and parameter in reference to request, right? Now, query starts after the question mark. You see, there's a question mark, and after the question mark, you have page, and then you have limits, right? So the query string is passed as key value, right? You see, it has the name, or you can say name value or key value. It has the name and it has the value. Like page now has the value of 2, limit has the value of 8, right? But if you're going to use something like parameter won't allow you. Parameter looks like a normal URL, right? But the place at which you're going to put the value of the page and limits won't look like this. A normal parameter will look like maybe all tags slash maybe 2/5. Then is the backend that will understand that this 2 is the page number and this 5 will be the limit, right? So if you wanted to use something like a query parameter, this is what you're going to do. If you wanted to use a parameter, not query, right? Not query string or query. If you were supposed to use a parameter, this is what you would do. You would come here to the tasks, right? Then in the tasks, this is what you're going to do. You say slash page, then slash query, slash page slash query, right? Now, doing this, writing this way, right, means that they must always be all tags, then slash page and slash query. These are not optional, right? Now, in order for you to make this not to be optional, so that even if the user queries all tags without passing a page and a query, right? What you can do is, after writing page, you can add a question mark, and then after query, you can also add a question mark. Then at this point, oh sorry, did I say page and limit? Sorry, page and limit. Then at this point, all you just need to change here is request dot params. Then here you say request dot params dot limit. Now, the main difference between the two is that parameter looks like a normal URL. It's just the backend that knows that this is what this value you're passing here is going to be, maybe something that will contain a value. that it can use, right? So if we wrote this link or this endpoint with this way, this is what we can come back here and do, right? If we query all tasks, it is going to send us the first page with with the limit of 4, which is default, right? If I want to go to the next page, I could just say /2, right? And if I query if I go to /2, you see, it now sends me the second page, but still with the limit of 4. So if I want to change the limit, I could say the limit should be 5, right? And I want to be at page 3. Okay, so I made that request, and if we scroll to the bottom, you see the limit is 5, right? And I'm in page 3. If I want to move to page 2, I'll just change this to page 2, right? And we are in page 2 with the limit of 5. You see, now compare this link to the first one we used, right? Some people prefer it this way because this is way more clean in their own opinion, right? Even in my own opinion, I like using optional query parameters, right? Than using, optional parameters than using queries, right? So that my URL will just look like a normal URL. It won't have that question mark and then the and then the page and all the stuff. Just make it look like this. So it makes it simple for maybe front-end developers to like use the API without maybe asking too much questions. What do I pass? How do I pass it? And the rest. Or what did you name your limit? Or what did you name the page? Right? So people might name their page, maybe instead of naming it page, maybe page like this would be equals to, they might name it current page, maybe something like this. Current page is equals to maybe 4. But maybe on the back end, you wrote page should be equals to request.query.param should be equals to 4, right? And then it won't work. But like this now, they just know that after /all tags, the first digit they are passing will be treated as the page number. The second digit they are going to pass, if they at all pass, it is going to be treated as the limit, right? Which makes it simple. Could make this 10. I think the default is, okay, so this is 10 now, right? The limit of 10, the total docs we have is 22, and we have just 2 pages, right? Okay, we have a total of 3 pages, sorry. And then we are in page 2, right? If we go to page 3, which is the last page, I don't think it's up to 10. It's just 1, 2. Yeah, it's just 2, right? So we have the first page contains 10, the second page contains 10, the third page contains 2. That's a total of 22 documents, right? So with this, you can paginate and share it to, and if you try searching for a page that is not available, let's say page 50, it might not send you okay, you see, it sends you back a response, but it's telling you that it sends you everything as usual, right? But the docs is going to be empty. It tells you the other necessary details you need to know. You're looking for page 50, but meanwhile, the total pages here is 3, right? So that's it, right? That's how to implement pagination. So we can also try, let's do it on the other routes. There's another route that we need to also do that pagination, right? Let's come here. Apart from this one, we should look at doing pagination by getting, when we are trying to get the tags for a certain user, or yeah, when we are trying to get the tags for a certain user. That's what I'm looking implements that tags by title, patch, and delete. So let me quickly implement that, right? To get the list of tags for a certain user, I'd say route.get. Then I'd say slash user task. Then after that, I would say async with the request and the response. Then under here, what I just need to do is I would say const user task should be equals to await task collection dot paginate, right? But inside this paginate, I want to find the task collection where the user ID. Let me see where what's the user ID. I think it's user ID. Let me check the task collection to be sure. So the task schema, okay. Okay, it's user, not user ID. So where the user, where is it? Where the user, right, is going to be, let me see, requests, where the user is going to be req.decoded dot, I think, is it user ID? Let me check. When we were logging in, how do we create our JWT, right? How did we create our JWT? We said, okay, yeah, so token is going to be this dot user ID. So here I wrote user ID, so which means I'm correct, right? Then, of course, remember what I just did, slash page, and since it's going to be optional for the user to put in page, you can even make it that they must put page, but it might be optional to put limit. So that will be you writing slash page slash limit, but then the limit will have the question mark. So this question mark denotes that that particular parameter, right, is optional. Okay, but now I'm saying the two should be optional. If I remove this the question mark here, it means that the user will always have to always send a page. This is required now, right? While this one is going to be optional. Okay, so but I want to make the two of them optional. All right, so then what I'll just okay, and this is paginated, right? So I'll just send user task. Finish. Okay, then how do I test for this certain user? Let's come back here. You know that this is for admin, right? So let me log in, get my token. And another thing I need to mention, for some back-end developers that save this, well, for some back-end developers that save this token, the purpose of saving this token might be so that this is just like something I need to just tell you guys, right? Saving this token might be for security purposes. Like, for example, if someone logs out, right, you can save this token somewhere in maybe another table, so that in case someone tries to use that same token, that someone, maybe the user has logged out with. If someone else tries to use that same token to log in, right, you can stop the person from logging in, because this token is sensitive, right? This token identifies the user that is maybe currently logged in. And remember that we didn't implement logout, right? So which means that if someone has access to your token, the person can a table. You can just create a table called maybe token table, right? And you save this token. And anytime someone tries to log in, while trying to, or when someone tries to maybe make a request or something, right, you can always check if the token, right, that the person is trying to use to make that request is in that collection. If the token is there, then you can bounce the person's request and tell the person maybe you don't respond with what the person is looking for, right? So that's one way to do logout. Then there are some JWT libraries that enables you to destroy a token. So when someone tries to log out, the person sends back the token to the back end. The back end receives that token on a route and destroys it. But the particular version of JWT that we are using doesn't allow us to destroy tokens. So what we can do is we can save those tokens. Now, then when those tokens get let's say much on your database, and then you want to delete all the tokens, after deleting all the tokens, you can change your JWT secret key, right? So that even if anybody has those tokens, the person won't be able to log in because the JWT secret has been changed. Those are like security measures you can take to make sure that people don't log into your, people don't maybe steal people's credentials and use it to successfully log into your service or make requests to your service, right? Those are like security measures. So I've copied that. Then let's come back and make the request. Let me come back here and check something. I changed this to Paginate. Cool. So I'll say user task, right? So here, I think it should be somewhere here. I need to do that. Okay, I'll just create it at the bottom. First, I'll just say authorization should be bearer and that token. Then before the bearer and the token, I'll say content type. The content type should be application/JSON posts HTTP local hosts 4000 /v1 what? Okay, no. /v1 let me see, /v1 /tasks. Then it's going to be /tasks /user task, right? Is this in plural form? Tasks, yeah, is in plural form. So /v1 /tasks user task. Is user task in plural? User task, okay, is in singular form, right? And I can make that request. Okay, is a get request, not a post request. Sorry. So I can make that request, and we see it shows me that, okay, this user just has only one task that he has posted, and he only has one page, right? So if I try doing /1 maybe 5, it's still going to send me that one. But see, okay, it's telling me total pages is 1. The page I am is 1. The limit is 10, which is okay. The limit here I put is 5. The limit here is 10, which means maybe I've made a mistake somewhere. Okay. I didn't specify it here. So I was supposed to say limit should be req.params.limit, and page should be equals to req.params.page. Remember, them a limit of 5, right? Then if we make that request, I think everything should then work out fine. Still connecting to database. Okay. What happened? Let me restart. I made those changes, and if I try to query, if you come down here, see we have a limit of 5, we have page of 1. If I try to go to page 2 and I send that request, you see page 2, limit 5. If I remove the limit, or let's say if I make this 7, right, it would have a page limit of 7, right? If I remove it, it will go to the default, right, which is 5. I could move from page to page. And now, this is not all, right, that you can do using Mongoose Paginate, right? There are a lot of other things you can do using Mongoose Paginate, but this is how pagination works using Hub, right? You can read their documentation, see other things you can actually use the Mongoose Paginate to achieve, right? Now, this Mongoose Paginate now is not going to stop your find or find by ID from working. You can use your normal find by ID, create all those other ones, find one and update, find by ID and updates. The one once you say mongoose.paginate, right? Know that it's going to actually paginate it for you. All right, so with what I've done so far, right? Do you guys have any question? Who has question based on what I've done so far? No question. You guys don't have any question? Hello?
I don't have any question. I will have to go through the video again before I can have a question.
Okay, all right, okay. So by next week Monday, we should look at form validation, right? And you can go and you can read a little bit about it, right? There is a library or a package, right, named Joy, but the spelling of the Joy is not the normal J-O-Y, you know, right? The spelling of the Joy is J-O-I, like this, J-O-I, right? Joy is I just want to do a brief introduction to it, right? Joy is a package that can be used to validate forms, right? Or validate what the user is sending. For example, if you want the user to send maybe a body request to you, for example, maybe a user is trying to sign up or a user is trying to log in, right? And you want to make sure that his username is maybe 6 characters long, and the username like is required, right? And then maybe his password should be 6 characters long, or all those kind of things like that. Or finding out if the email someone puts in, right, or type in while trying to register is a valid email. Things like that, right? Form validation. On your back end, you can use the package named Joy, J-O-I, right, to do form validation. But that is going to be our topic for next week, right? So in the absence of any question, a day. Thank you guys for coming out for today's class. And if
Thank
you
you
have
very
any
much.
question,
Please
you
don't
can
forget
always.
to.
Okay, yeah, I haven't forgotten you. You said you have a question on from the last class, right?
Yes.
Okay, and no problem. I'll drop a Google Meet, right? And then you share your screen and ask your question. Then we'll see how we can solve it together.
All right. All right.
So just after this, just check on the channel. You'll see a Google Meet, right?
Okay.
All right. So apart from him, for the rest of you guys, enjoy your weekend and bye for now.